So good morning or good afternoon. Welcome to Captain Patrick Charters. We're excited you're here, and we want to make sure that we give you information that's going to benefit you. You know, for the last 35 years, we have owned and operated every form of charter yacht you can imagine. Variable programs, guaranteed income programs, crewed, C-R-E-W, crewed charter programs. We're very familiar with the proper construction, compliant construction as well as operation and exit strategy. You know, that's something else that I don't think people are getting a lot of information on. What does this look like in 5 years? We've been doing this all these years. Again, happy to be with you, United States Coast Guard captain, proud of that, but also an enrolled agent with the United States Treasury Department. So we bring a very interesting approach to tax law. One of the problems that we believe, having attended Annapolis show for many years, Yacht show as well as Miami, is that the IRS is consistent. The IRS tells us, do this, and this will happen. IRS is many things. Dumb is not one of those things. The mistakes that people make are information that they're listening to, information that they're receiving that's bad information. I had 2 different emails last week with information purported to be the tax law that were ridiculous. I mean, it wasn't even common sense. You couldn't blend and twist the tax law that much. They're just dead wrong. Again, if you're getting good information, you're working with a maritime firm. We are a maritime firm. You're going to get good information. You're going to avoid problems. If you do have a problem from a previous tax return, we'll help you. We do a lot of audit defense work, by the way, to help our clients, but also to learn what do IRS officers, what do revenue officers value? What are some things that we need to do in the construction of the business and the operation for our own clients? Very, very important. Make sure, again, that you have the right licensing, that you have experience. I ran into a gentleman that was a CPA. He was in a booth of a large manufactured catamaran in the Miami show. And I said, I introduced myself. He actually knew of me, had seen some of our videos. And I said, so you're here to help people make decisions regarding a charter yacht? He said, yes, that's why I'm here in the booth. I said, have you ever owned a charter yacht? And he said, well, no. I said, are you familiar with the charter yacht industry, sir? And he said, well, no. Then I asked him jokingly, have you ever seen a charter yacht, sir? You know, just kidding with him. So again, make sure that the people that are helping you to make $2 million decisions know what the heck they're talking about. And we bring that to our relationship with clients across the United States.
Make me want to buy a yacht. That was great. Before we go,
you just want to know somebody that has one. Absolutely. You don't want to buy one.
Yes,
Are there yacht charter tax benefits through charter business operations?
So the answer is yes, but that's always that kind of a thing is, yes, there are, but you have to have, again, proper construction, you have to have proper operation, and then you have to have an exit strategy that you plan now. You don't wait for 5 years to talk about how this is going to work out. So incredibly, and I do mean incredibly, we now have 100% bonus depreciation back. Now remember, 100% bonus, which is a tax benefit, that knife is sharp on both sides. In other words, you get the deduction up front, and if you're working with a planning firm, not somebody that just says, here's your tax return next, but somebody that sits down and understands where you're going, what you're trying to accomplish with the purchase of this yacht, and again, all of the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted, then yes, the new law, again, permits 100% bonus depreciation.
What qualifies a yacht for tax deductions and other benefits?
So the answer in a nutshell, good advice. That's what qualifies the yacht. Because remember, this goes back to even pre-purchase, things you've been doing that particular year that might have been tax deductible as you approached a yacht purchase and delivery date. So again, generally, more than 50% business use, generally speaking. Now, we have some people that day charter. We have some people that do scuba, so maybe some snorkeling. We have people that do fishing tours out of Destin and South Florida. So there's a lot of different issues, but generally, if a large percentage of the time your vessel is out making money upon which you can pay taxes, then you're going to qualify for some form of accelerated depreciation. Again, charter-specific operating agreements. I had a gentleman the other day that said, well, I guess I'll just dump this yacht into my LLC that owns farm harvesting equipment. I said, no, you're not going to want to do that, sir. So again, good charter construction agreements, charter-specific business plan. Most people don't have a comprehensive business plan. You have to have one. Calendaring your time, making sure that you are obeying the safe harbor rule. We'll talk more about that in a few moments. There's a lot to this. It's not that it's hard. It's just that you have to do the things that you have to do because you have to do them. And then that qualifies you then for depreciation. So that, again, a lot of different little things. Remember, most people that we are talking to are not familiar with this niche business. I am. I've been chartering and own charter yachts for 30 some odd years. But again, many people that aren't are giving advice that should not be given. They just don't know what they're talking about.
Is audit scrutiny higher for yacht deductions?
The answer is absolutely yes. Yachts and jets. There's issues there, not because the law is not being applied. The law exists. I mean, we can read the law. We can find out what we're supposed to do. The problem is there's often in the past, in the opinion of many revenue officers, there's been misunderstandings, misrepresentation, lying, if I haven't mentioned lying, and other issues that have kind of prejudiced them against these wealthy fat cats that own yachts and jets. By the way, here's something else you really need to think about. Please listen carefully. Most revenue officers that I meet in a yacht audit defense do not understand yachts. They don't understand the business. They can't even spell the word yacht. They're nice people, but they're disadvantaged because they're trying to process an audit that they know very, very little about. Now, if it was an apartment, if it was a business, well, now they're in their element. Yachts, not so much. So again, yes. So that's why you don't want to get into an audit defense. You want to get into a situation where the maritime firm that you're taking advice from creates circumstances where the IRS never contacts you in the first place. That's how it's done. I worked with one of our new clients the other day, and I said, hey, I need some information from you. He said, well, I'm real busy right now. After all, if I get into trouble, you'll just get me off, right? And I said, sir, I said, that cost to defend that audit is going to be about $50,000. If I were you, I would get me the documentation that I'm asking for. And of course, the next day, I received it. So again, so better off to make sure that you don't hear from anybody than that, well, we can beat them. We can probably beat them, but much better if you just live your life, enjoy the yacht, be hanging around with a bunch of people in bathing suits and a rum drink in their hand. Much funner than sitting in an office with me all day in an audit. So again, yes, higher risk, so we do everything correctly.
Can Captain Patrick help me if I was audited by the IRS?
So the answer is yes. And again, we not only do audit defense, by the way, not for our clients. We have a fabulous audit record with our own clients, but a lot of people end up on our doorstep. And they cut information from Fred or Susan, or, well, that's what the yacht broker told me. Not saying anything bad about yacht brokers, but again, you should be getting your information in a business that's this critical on a $1 or $2 or $7 million yacht. All your T's should be crossed and all your I's should be dotted. So that being the case, we can help you. We not only help and defend our people, we also provide counsel and advice to other people that are working with a CPA. I'm working with a firm right now, big firm in San Francisco, and they're very familiar with audits, but they're not very familiar with yacht audits. And there's a crew on this particular yacht. Well, that makes life a little more complicated. Speak all those languages. I think we've been very helpful to them to be able to get this thing finished up. So yes, we can help you. But again, how did you get into trouble? Well, again, what a lot of the brokerage community will do is they'll take something that's true and they'll place it into the blender. Then they'll take something that doesn't really apply and they'll put that in the blender as well. And then they'll take something that's absolutely wrong and they'll put that in the blender. Then they'll turn it on and pour everybody a drink. And obviously, bad information creates bad decisions, and bad audits, again, come from that. So again, the IRS is holding all of us, to a very high standard, especially, as we've talked about, in the yachts and jets, because of those fat cats, you know those guys. And just make sure the construction, again, the compliance, the operation, and the exit are all talked about and understood.
Can I lease the yacht to a related company for deductions?
So the answer is yes, you know what's coming. So the answer is absolutely you can. We have law firms all over Miami, law firms in Alabama, and here even in Texas, and that's a fairly common practice. Again, what's important? Fair market value. Well, in fact, let me back up. What's important? Common sense. Common sense. I mean, what are you going to say to a revenue officer if you have a yacht that goes out for $2,500 a day and you leased it to a business that you also are the majority owner of for $100? And the diesel bill was $1,000. I mean, what are you going to say? Common sense, fair market value. Again, agreements stipulated. Well, I don't have to have an agreement. I own both companies. No, for that reason, sir, madame, you need to have an agreement because you own both companies. So yes, you can do it. There are some limitations now on entertainment that we didn't have before. Again, I'm sorry to keep saying it and chanting it over and over and over again, but if you're in the maritime world, you probably should be working with a maritime tax expert. Again, I would not go to a foot doctor if I was having a heart problem. If I was having a heart problem, I'd probably go to a cardiologist. Same thing here. By the way, many people say, well, I like and I trust the tax professionals that I'm working with now. Wonderful. Please keep them. We're not soliciting anybody for anything. We're just saying, hey, we're really good at this, and we may be able to work with your existing people to create a solution that's going to work for you in your future.
Do guaranteed income charter yachts get the same tax benefits and treatment as other charter programs?
Very good question. And the reason it's such a good question is because of all of the bad, wrong, incorrect information that's out there in the maritime world. Yes, the answer, yes, 100% yes. The IRS cannot discriminate against you because you're in a guaranteed income program, and they don't want to anyways. I mean, think about it. If you're in guaranteed income and you step on the floor next to your bed on January 1st, you're making money. You're a profitable company day one. So there's a lot of advantages there. So once again, we have the brokerage community practicing tax law. By the way, I'm not practicing brokerage. I'm not skilled in that. I'm not licensed for that. So I'm in my lane, and they need to stay in their lane. Many of the people, by the way, that are talking poorly and incorrectly about guaranteed income programs don't offer a guaranteed income program. I wonder if that influences their decision. Kind of like asking the fat guy to guard the Twinkies. If you don't know what a Twinkie is, by the way, you may want to Google that. It's something of my past. So, yes, all forms of profitable charter enterprises, then yes, are going to receive the exact same tax benefits. Variable charter, crew charter, day charter, month charter, guaranteed income. Guaranteed income can be a great part of making sure that you understand that all the bills are getting paid, the yacht's being properly maintained, and these kinds of things. So now, do you need to observe the safe harbor rule? Well, of course, but you do in any form of yacht business. There's the conditions, the restrictions, the protocols are not different from one program to another. Always profitable, always fair market value, always profit motive, always documented, always the right tax returns. Those are important issues.
Can excessive personal use impact yacht depreciation?
So the answer is yes. Now, once again, we have some clients of our firm that we like them very much, and we have some that we like a little less. They're a little crazier, and they get on the boat and they start thinking, hey, man, this is fun. Well, there's two issues that we're dealing with here. Again, the knife is sharp on both sides. Issue number one is if you're on the boat, it might not be making any money because you're on the boat. Now, again, you may charge fare, F-A-R-E, to some of your family members and high net worth clients. I know that story very well, so you might be able to offset that a little. But generally, excessive personal use does two things. It might create a charter percentage issue, and it might gobble up a lot of the time, especially holidays, Christmas and Easter and New Year's, where the yacht could have been making an awful lot of money. I've often said, well, I'd rather go out on January 10th of the beginning of the year and pocket $30,000, $40,000 of going through the Christmas and the New Year's holidays. So again, personal use is not automatically an issue, but it could be an issue if you don't have somebody to talk to and explain that to you, and if it doesn't get reported on the tax return. Remember, the IRS doesn't see your books. They don't see your records. They don't see how many times the yacht went out. What they see is how much money came in, how much money went out. Again, you're going to need good advice if you're going to plan on using the boat a lot.
What is material participation, and why does it matter?
Okay, so again, thank you for asking. Great question. The reason it's a great question is because so many people get this wrong. I had somebody the other day that told me, well, everybody knows that it's 750 hours a year in the maritime world. As soon as they say everyone knows, all the words that come after that statement are going to be wrong. That's been my personal experience as a captain and as a tax expert over all these years. So material participation simply means that you are participating in the operation of the vessel. Not every hour, not every day, maybe not every week, but you are participating. You are actively involved. Notice that word active as opposed to passively involved. People say, well, you can't get to that level of involvement if you have a crew on your boat. Oh, you absolutely can. In fact, if your crew drinks as much as many other crews do, you're going to spend a lot more time visiting with the crew and making sure that they don't run the air conditioner all day. Okay, separate issue. Sorry, I'm not bitter, by the way. I just wanted to mention that. So participation is measured by hours. It's the same way I shoot guns a lot. When I come back from shooting, my wife will say, well, how did you shoot? How did you do today? Well, I have a target. The target tells me if I was shooting well or not. Again, same thing in the yachting world. We have hours. We look at how many hours we're spending a year to be active charter yacht operators, active charter yacht owners, and material participation is part of that. So again, don't listen. And I had a gentleman the other day, very nice guy, who's been Googling all this. Good luck. Buen suerte, as we say in Spanish. In my opinion, you're not going to get the level of detail and information you need on the charter yacht world from Google. Love Google, use it all the time. What I think you need to do is sit down with a maritime tax professional, pay whatever the fee, whatever the tariff is, so to speak, and get the advice that you need, keep you out of trouble. You're supposed to be enjoying this whole operation. One of my videos that I get the most compliments on my YouTube channel is this was supposed to be fun. And it should be fun. And if you're not going to be having fun, don't buy a yacht. Go rent one and turn it back in at the end of the time.
Can you give me some guidance on what a retainer should be for a maritime tax expert such as yourself?
Well, that's a great question. And by the way, that comes up pretty quickly when I'm talking to people because as a fiduciary firm, we have to talk about the money. Sorry, but that needs to come up. And it comes up in a positive way. I had a gentleman the other day that made some very serious mistakes on a large fishing yacht in Destin, Florida. And it's going to be a bummer to defend this particular audit. And I asked him, how did you make all these mistakes? Why didn't you hire a maritime firm or somebody that you could have asked questions and gotten advice? He said, well, I didn't want to spend that much money. I go, well, congratulations. It might have been $5,000, $10,000. Your audit ticket to this little party is going to be 50 grand. And it'll probably go way over that. But more importantly, it's going to be a terrible use of your time. I mean, this guy works a 20-hour day. He's going to be sitting in an IRS audit office somewhere. So a couple things. The reason that you want to hire somebody and pay them well, I can tell you that you pay a mechanic on a Lamborghini a whole lot more money than you pay a mechanic on a Volkswagen. But again, you're getting something different. You're getting what you pay for. So in our opinion, retaining a firm, what that does is that takes the sword away I meet people all the time. Maybe they've owned a charter yacht for a year or 2 years now. Maybe they're in trouble with the IRS. And they'll say, the whole time, I've been worried that I wasn't doing things correctly, that I wasn't getting good advice. I mean, my people are great for farming. My people are great for my manufacturing company. But I just always was concerned that the information I was getting regarding my yacht charter or my airplane charter or jet charter business maybe wasn't up to speed. So again, retainers, in my opinion, are very reasonable. It varies from situation to situation, price of the yacht, questions, level of business acumen on behalf of our new client, all those kinds of things. But I've never talked to somebody about our retainer fees and had them say, well, that's a little bit more than I was thinking. It's just never come up in polite conversation. I think you're getting a lot of value. Plus, if the maritime firm you're talking to can actually prepare your tax return, that's golden. Because now we're handing you the K-1 for you to then take that ball and hand it over to your local tax people and run for a touchdown. That's magic. That's what you want. Because also in the preparation of the tax return, we're walking out all the information, all the counsel, all the tax advice that we provided you with. It's a great package.
With the Big Beautiful Bill, are any international charter rules changed?
No, they have not. But thank you for asking. Once again, we have people that are getting 10% of the story and they're making 100% business decisions. That's a bad mix. A lot of people say, well, you don't understand, Patrick. I like it when they start with the you don't understand, Patrick. The money was earned in the Bahamas. I don't have to pay taxes on that in the United States, right? Oh, no, you have to pay taxes on that. Well, I never brought the money that I earned in my charter into the United States. That means I don't have to, no, sir, no. Let's talk about this. Gross income, publication 1 in the IRS repertoire tells us that all forms of all income earned worldwide, and maybe even on other planets, is declared as gross income, and you have to pay taxes on it. Doesn't matter where you earned it. It doesn't matter whether it's sitting in a bank account in Guyana or not. You owe taxes. The IRS has a fun new tax law called FATCA, F-A-T-C-A, Foreign Account Taxation Compliance Act. And it's a bummer. So again, you want to be sitting with somebody and making sure that you're declaring your income and you're, by the way, also declaring your expenses. You know, we're only talking about profit here, the difference between what came in and what went out. But the international rules that we've been operating under are unchanged by the BBB. And again, the misunderstandings that we see every day about foreign income are also not changing anytime soon. So again, get some good information. If you're going to run afoul of an occasional IRS issue, you don't want to do the international one.
You must be the first person I've ever met that can make taxes enjoyable to listen to, entertaining to listen to, because you have so many stories along with it, you know? I mean, my dad's a CPA. I grew up around it.
I'm just going to say, it should be common to you.
What should charter clients do to comply with all of these regulations and rules?
So once again, let's take this from 4 inches. A lot of our clients are pilots. Let's take this from 4 inches above sea level up to 30,000 feet and talk about the things that we know that we need to do automatically. Again, good books and records, making sure that all the T's are crossed in terms of the income coming in and the expenses. The expenses, by the way, must be 2 things, very easy to remember, O-N. They should be ordinary and they should be necessary. So my favorite example is diesel. Is it ordinary? Is it normal? Is it usual for you to add diesel to your yacht if you have a diesel-powered yacht? The answer is yes. Is it necessary? I think so. I don't think you're going to go anywhere, not very far, if you don't have diesel. So your expenses need to be ordinary and necessary. I did have a young lady that called me some time back, and she was in a jewelry store that I know very well, thanks to my lovely wife, in St. Thomas. And she said, I need a watch. I need to buy a watch so I can tell time and keep my watches, keep my scrutiny of the yacht. I said, honey, you don't need a Rolex to do that. You need a Timex. Because while I'm standing here, I'm at the counter, the Rolex counter, and I'm just wondering if I could buy this and it would be tax deductible. I said, don't do it, don't do it. It's going to be hard to write off a $28,000 watch when you could have bought one for $28 and it would have told you what the time is. I'm just kidding a little here and as we close up today, but that's a true story. So again, the normal things. Now, there are things that are not usual that people don't know. I tell people all the time, we're going to send you a business plan and we need you to complete the business plan. They're like, well, what's a business plan? Why do I need a business plan? Why do I need a 35-page business plan? Because that's what's needed in this world. You came into our world. This is normal. Keeping track of your time, a charter-specific operating agreement that we've already alluded to, business plan that's being updated. By the way, our business plans have helped people to begin to realize, hey, I'm not making as much money as I thought I was. I'm not making as much money as I planned on making. You see, you have a foundation, you have a benchmark, you have something that you can compare your income to. We have what's called our pilot's checklist. You ever fly and you see these pilots out on the hot tarmac walking around the plane? Yeah, they're making sure that everything is operational because they're about to fly 300 or 400 people to Spain. And so again, make sure in your world that you are making sure that your systems are being maintained, the oil is being changed, there's enough transmission fluid. By the way, the filters in the water maker. By the way, you do not want your air conditioner to go out at 3 o'clock in the morning with a boat full of people, women especially, because the filters that filter in the salt water were not changed before you left the dock. So we have a pilot's checklist. It turns the trip from a vacation into a maintenance or an inspection trip. That's great. It complies with IRS regulations. That's great, but also makes the charter a lot more enjoyable. You don't want to have somebody chase out at 4 o'clock in the morning, try to get your air conditioner working again. So again, work with a company, sorry, but like ours. And we try to put you on automatic pilot so you can enjoy the yacht, you can enjoy the tax advantages, you can enjoy the future, and you're not worried. Again, you don't have that proverbial sword hanging over your head. You know how this is going to work out when it comes to the end of the term. So again, sorry, but get good advice. Make sure the advice is experienced, licensed, and that they know what they're talking about. That's going to make your life a lot more enjoyable. So again, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your valuable time. By the way, if you'd like to contact us, our telephone number here in Houston, Texas is area code 281-528-5760. You can talk to the staff. We're very, very familiar with people calling in and wanting help and wanting advice and wanting to explain their personal circumstances. Everybody's different, and we understand that. So just call up and say, hey, I'm looking at purchasing a yacht. We will then set a telephone call with you. If you'd like to have your attorney on the line or your CPA, certainly welcome to speak with them as well. And let's get it started. So contact our office. That's kind of step one. And then we'll step in and help you as much as we can.